In this assignment, we're going to be creating our own typeface. So in order for you to start to create your own typeface, you're going to have to create your ideas and your font on paper first. So once you have everything created on paper, you're going to scan it in, kind of like how I did here. I just wanted to do this very quickly. You guys shouldn't be just doing your handwriting, putting a little bit more effort into it. I'm just creating this just to show you guys and have a little video showing you how to go about creating your typeface. Scanned it in, and then once it's scanned in Photoshop, I'm just going to select an area. What I've done originally was I scan it in and then maybe take this portion here, crop it out, and adjust the lightness and darkness of what I have here. So I want the contrast to be up so that my letters give me more contrast so that it gets picked up and I can see it in Illustrator. So I'm copying and pasting into Illustrator. And tracing these in Illustrator. So you guys are going to have to trace each one of your letters here. And then once they're all traced up, you're going to select each letter. Right here I selected the A, copy it, and you're going to open up a program called BirdFont. I'm going to have this installed on all of your machines. So when you start it up, it says SIL Open Font License. You want to use this and create a new file, and you see the characters that I want you to create. So I want you to create these characters. Don't hit Unicode. If you really want to and you have extra time, you could do all these characters, but all you're required to do is the default. So what you're going to do once you click on default is double click on the A. I think it's switched to B. So up here on the top menu bar, you can see that you have your B, and go back to overview, so I could double click on A, and I'm pasting into my document here. So the one thing that I've found is that you kind of want to use your move tool and the resize tool, and I'm going to select this here. And sometimes when you paste into the document or into the workspace, it ends up being off the page. So what I've learned is that if you click an area, it's just going to paste right there. So I would click an area first just to avoid it becoming off the page. So then I want to take my my letter and enlarge it to my cap height, which is this line up here. And then I want to change my kerning to be snug up against the right side of my letter. And I'm setting my type onto the baseline. So if you go back to your assignment sheet, what I really want you guys to understand is all your vocabulary here. And I just kind of spoke about your baseline, the cap height, and your baseline, cap height, and kerning, which isn't on here. So make sure you understand what kerning is also. Let me go back to BirdFont. Let's go to overview. I want to put in a lowercase letter. So I'm double clicking on the A, the lowercase a. I'm going to go back to my Illustrator document. I'm going to select the A, copy, go back over to BirdFont, and paste it. So I want to set it to the baseline, and I'm enlarging it all the way up to the X height. This is the X height. And I also want to make sure that the vowel is on the baseline. Move it over to, so you can see here, that's your X height. And then kerning is pretty much set okay. Once that's set, I might want to go to my uppercase A and click my menu bar up here, click on View, Glyph Sequence, and then I want to type in my lowercase a so I could see what it looks like beside my uppercase A. It looks to me like the X height is too high. I want to bring it down to about that level. So let's go back to our let's go to View, Glyph Sequence, and then switch to thing to judge that with. So I'm going to bring my X height down and then resize my lowercase a to about this size here. Let's bring the X height up just a little bit. Kerning all of your typeset into each individual spot here. You're going to want to be able to name and export your TrueType font. So you want to test some of these letters to see if they look good. You want to go up to your menu, and then you can test it by going to View and Glyph Sequence. You can see that it has a couple letters there, which is next to the S. You can see that the O has a little bit of space there, but that's because the L is a little slanted. So if I did want to fix that, I could go back to my overview, double click on the L, and I can move I think it was the O. I could move this one over a little bit, and let me go and check the O. So the O is pretty close. You don't want to go too much closer than that. Fix that. You go back into the S. Take a look at. You could also, when you're testing, you could write out different letters. So you can test the letters here. Make sure that you're testing everything before you export as, or you save as a TrueType font to upload. The distance between the E, it looks like the L here, I'm having a little bit of trouble between the spacing with any letter before it. So if I went into the E, I'm pretty sure that it's fine. It's just the slant of the L. Could come back just a little. So I could fix all that and then save my TrueType font again. So if I fix a couple things here, everything looks okay, then I want to go over to import and export, and then you could either preview it. You can see how it's previewed here, and everything looks pretty good. This is all of the letters in the alphabet together. If everything looks good, then I would just go and export your font. So import, export fonts. Make sure it's a TrueType font. And one more thing that I want to show you is you want to go and make sure that only TrueType font is selected when you're exporting. So you want to go to Export Settings, and in the Export Settings you can see that I only have TrueType font selected. You can't select OTF because that's for the paid version. EOT we don't need, and SVG we don't need. So you could also select your export folder here and export through this screen instead of the other screen. So once everything looks good, just hit export and it's going to pop open where it's saved. And you could also click on it, press spacebar, you could take a preview of it. When you double click on it, you can install it, and then you can test it out through Photoshop and Illustrator to make sure that it works.